folks. Father Christmas has arrived, Big Bore Kit's arrived, and you would have to do some machining because I knew that the deck heights from the centre of the wrist pin or gudgeon pin, whatever you want to call it, whatever country you're in, is going to give me about a millimetre off the crown, and I might have to just machine the fork pockets down a little bit, maybe. So the wrist pin obviously is correct, gudgeon pin, 15 millimeters, nice sliding fit in the small end. But, and la big but, the stud pattern is correct, and it's got the right notch in the top for the top cradle of the timing chain slipper. Look at this. He said, come on baby. Try putting it on the right way around, that'll work. It's a bit better, isn't it? Look, the throat size is a couple of mil out, so it won't go through the throat on these crankcases, which is a bit of a disappointment. I was thinking, in the past for the BSAs, if you want to put a B40 barrel on a C15 and all that, you just have the throat machined. But obviously I didn't want to disturb any of this stuff. The rest of it looks good. The height from the base to the crown is correct, and you know, the centres and everything else is correct. So I'm not sure what to do. I'll just have to have a measure up and have a think about it. Piston wouldn't be a problem, I ain't got a problem machining that, but it's this business. Anyway, I'm going to have a think and see if we can come up with a solution, or have to get another kit, which I don't want to do. See you in a bit. Okay, here's the solution, rightly or wrongly. I'm going to machine. The difference is, was me bit of paper. So the crankcase throat is 63.8 millimeters, and the OD here is 65.9, so the difference is 2.1 mil. So it's as true as I'm ever going to get it. It's a couple of 1/100ths of a millimeter out. I'm going to machine a couple of mil off here and see how we go. So let me butcher this up and we'll be back in a short while. Okay, we're machined. Turned out quite nicely. So just looking at the two barrels, the only other anomaly now, if we look at the tops, is on the original, because the liner is so thick, or the top hat section of the liner is so thick, it actually intrudes into the space where the oil feed comes up from the gallery, from the casing, from the crankcase. So all they do is, there's the dowel, hollow dowel, they fit this little O-ring which sits and seals between the, to stop it leaking into there. So this dowel's too long to go in that casing, the right size, and there's no provision for this, for the rubber ring. But because this liner that's been installed doesn't intrude into here, I should be able to just cut this down to the right length, same length as this one, and the oil cannot leak beyond it because they're a good fit. Plus you've got the gasket either side, but it can't leak into that space because there's a gap here. You can physically see the gap between the aluminium, and it would actually leak, leak around, leak back into this one and leak back down into the crankcase. So I think that bit's going to be fine. But now we just need to make sure. I mean, I didn't measure it as accurately as I could. I should have used telescopic gauges maybe, but okay, the dowels are in, so let's have a look. Get it the right way around this time. It's a nice fit in the neck. We're up to the dowels. All looking good. And bottomed out. Wow, all good. Okay. So that's one solution solved. But now I've got to do something with the deck heights on the piston. So that's going to be fine with just this oil feeder dowel. I'll just machine it down or make another one probably and keep the original, just in case I want to put a standard barrel kit on it. But yeah, I'm happy with that so far. So let's have a look at the piston, what it looks like when it's fitted in the barrel, and we'll see you in a sec. So it's the dry build. It's got the appropriate gaskets in to give the thickness. Timed up, TDC, piston at the top, aligned with the 0, etc, etc. Get it exactamundo. And if I press the valves down, top dead centre, loads of clearance on the exhaust valve. Inlet valve also has clearance, but not as much. The problem is now when I spin it to valve overlap, when both valves are on the rock on the opposite TDC, so natural direction of rotation in our case is anti-clockwise. So we're now coming off TDC, this would be the firing stroke. So now if I get down to here, I've got a dead stop at that point. And I can see where the piston is, because there's the woodruff key vertical. I can also put a screwdriver down there. And it's the point where the exhaust valve and the inlet valve are open at the same time, only for a very brief period of time, so that as the kinetic energy of the exhaust gases are going down the exhaust pipe and the pistons finish travelling coming up, the inlet valve opens a tad, so it purges the last little bit of unburnt combustion gases in the combustion chamber at top dead centre, valve's rocking, so you've got a fresh charge coming in with no other mixture in there to ruin the combustion. And that is like inlet valve is just hitting the exhaust valve, misses, so just get it so it's touching, so I can still push the exhaust valve down, no problem. But the inlet valve now, let's bring it back because it's obviously turning the engine. The inlet valve now is solid, so it needs a little bit machining out of the inlet valve pocket on the top of the piston. So I'm going to pull it apart again and see how much I need to remove from it, and I'll probably use the old piston by using the vernier caliper on a flat surface to see how deep the inlet pocket is on the piston. The inlet pocket is on top of the piston for the inlet valve. So let's have a look, pull it back out and let's have a look, see in a sec. Okay, had an idea, trying to work out how much I need to remove. I've measured as accurately as I can the old piston, the new piston, but very difficult because the contours are, you know, how that it's not exactly a shape with a datum. So this is another idea which hopefully might work. So I got some blue tack. Plasticine would have been nice, but I haven't got any. So put some blue tack on the top over the valve, because we know that it's the inlet valve that's striking. Got some Vaseline petroleum jelly, which I'm going to smear on the inlet valve, etc. around there, so that the blue tack doesn't stick. Drop the head back on, obviously put the timing chain back on, and set the valve timing up, and do exactly the same. Rock the engine into the position where the valve on the overlap stroke, where the exhaust valve and the inlet valve are open together, to try and map this area out that I can try to Dremel or die grind or whatever. I've got a few bits, and because the aluminium it's only soft, you only need a bit of high-speed steel, just a bit of carbon steel bit would do it. So I'm going to assemble it, time it, rock it till we strike, strip it back down, and we'll have a look to see how well it's marked, hopefully, to give me an idea of how much material is going to be removed and in exactly what area. So we'll be back with it in a few moments. See you in a bit. Okay, there's our beautiful impression. So I've got now a good idea. So what I'm going to do, this is an automatic centre punch, push, click. I'm going to go round the outside edge profile through the blue tack, and then peel the blue tack off, and I can see exactly how far down I need to come. And I'm going to look at the thickness when I peel this off and try and work out how deep I've got to go. So I may have to do a couple of shots at it, but we're going to get there for sure. So let's see how we go. Well, we're done. Fair bit of machining overall, but I've put everything back together, timed it up, dry, gaskets in and everything for the spacing, and spin the engine over, and now I've managed to catch it so that it's clear all the way without the valve hitting the piston. So the profile is quite different, and the reason the profile is different is the problem is not at top dead centre, believe it or not, but it's on the induction stroke. So you have valve overlap on one of the top dead centres where the exhaust valve and the inlet valve are open slightly together, just to purge the last bit of burnt exhaust gases out. But then as the piston starts to travel down on the induction stroke, the slope is so steep on the lobe of the inlet cam that the lobe beats the piston going down. So the valve is opening into the piston even though it's travelling in the downward direction, hence that slightly different profile. So when it's closed you've got that inner lip, and when it's on its way down, because the valve angle is travelling further away, towards the centre of the piston, this is where you get this second groove that you've got to mill. I did it by hand actually with a die grinder, but the blue tack is the only way to get that profile, so you're actually indenting the shape so you can exactly match where you need to take the material away. So it's done. So I'm gonna, before I build this up, I've got another kit to try on it. But with regard to this video now, can it be done, this big bore kit? What cc's is it? Does say on there somewhere 144 cc, so from 124 I think to 144, so another 20 cc's, which is quite a big percentage. Whether it's successful, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, but whether, because we've changed the shape of the combustion chamber, obviously we've increased the compression ratio, we're probably on about 10:1 now, whereas the original's something more like 9:1 or something. But anyway, there you go, it's done, and I will be sticking another video up there on building this back up. But with regard to the machining and all the rest of it, was it worth it? I'll let you know when it's running. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. See you later, folks.